welcome to another episode of Things Jesus Said. Today we get to look at a passage I'm excited about in Luke chapter 2. And one of the reasons I'm extra excited about this episode is because we get to look at one of the only known stories of Jesus before he was 30 years old. The only known story of Jesus as a boy, and it's found in Luke chapter 2, verse 49. Jesus says this, "Why were you searching for me? Didn't you know that I had to be in my Father's house?" So, 12 years have passed since Jesus' record-breaking birth. He had a lot of gifts, he had a stable, he had some angels singing in the sky, some wise men that came to see him, a king that set out to kill him and had a genocide of babies to get rid of him. We had a big year when Jesus was born. It's been 12 years since all that happened. So I have to wonder, what was Mary feeling like as a virgin who becomes pregnant with God's child and then has this insane birth story? It's been 12 years since anything has happened. So I kind of wonder where she was at, if she was kind of just moseying along her day to day or where this was at. But suddenly, fast forward, we have this story right here. So here we are. The family takes the trip to celebrate the Passover festival in Jerusalem. We celebrate the Passover festival, everything goes well, and then hey, they read Hillary Clinton's book, Takes a Village to Raise a Child. So everybody's just kind of traveling along together, and they march out of town. They go about a day's journey at Bible times, looking at about 20 miles. They've traveled about 20 miles, and Mary starts getting this thought in her head. Man, I haven't seen Jesus in a while. I wonder where he's at. Hey, Joseph, do you know where Jesus is at? Joseph don't know where Jesus is at. So they ask the cousins. Cousins don't know where Jesus is at. Pretty soon they've gone around the caravan, and Mary realizes,
we left the Son of God in Jerusalem.
Off they hurry back to Jerusalem. Now, we know that it's about a three-day time lapse that happens here. So what I'm thinking with my math is that it takes about a day's journey to get 20 miles outside of Jerusalem, about a day's journey to get back, and then maybe on that third day, that's the day they spent looking for Jesus, and they found him. They come up to Jesus, and Mary says, "Why are you treating us this way?" So think, Mary, we're in crazy mama bear mode by this time, right? So when she figured it out, she had a whole nother 20 miles to go to even find out where her child is. So she's looking for Jesus. She's pretty upset. She asks Jesus, "Why are you treating us this way?" And Jesus says, "Why are you searching for me? Didn't you know that I had to be in my Father's house?" Now, that's more interesting than it seems, and let me tell you why. First of all, in a patriarchal culture like we have going on here in ancient Israel, for a woman to speak in the temple where he's teaching other teachers, for a woman to just jump up and speak and challenge a boy who's becoming a man, that's nuts. You did not do it. Mary's level of anxiety is pretty high to be challenging a cultural norm. I'm not saying this is a good cultural norm. I'm just telling you it was a cultural norm. One commentator I read believed that Jesus was left behind accidentally. And as a child who was left behind accidentally, he did the right thing. He went to a public place and then he just kind of worked himself into talking to the teachers at the temple. I don't believe that's true. I believe that what Jesus is saying here is he was directly in his Father's house about his Father's business. Well, let's talk about that. His Father's business. Did you know that in ancient Israel and the Jews, pre-Jesus' ministry, they didn't refer to God as Father very often? This is kind of an interesting flip. And what's very interesting is Mary and Joseph are sitting there. So Mary is saying this, "Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." Well, now Joseph is not Jesus' dad. That's important because Jesus has mom, his human mother, but God is his father because he's fully man and he's fully God. And so he says, "My Father's business." He kind of flips it out, and I mean, it's a little bit of a boing to Joseph because Joseph, my dad wasn't looking for me. I was right here the whole time dealing with my dad. What's your problem? I don't think he was disrespectful to his mama. But he certainly sets the record straight who his father is, and it's kind of a big deal for him to refer to God as his father. And the last thing we see as we're kind of leaving this scene and getting ready for Luke chapter 3 is that Mary treasured these things in her heart. I hope that's what this series does for you. I know it does it for me. I love taking a look at these little things that Jesus said and then meditating on them, thinking about them, and reflecting on what they tell me about my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. As Mary treasured these things in her heart, let's you and I treasure them too.